What is up, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Start, Build, Grow Show. This one is an international edition, and we are talking about one of the hottest topics in any industry right now, AI, and how AI is changing the way we do business, the way we do sales, the way our entire customer journey experience happens. So you're going to want to stay tuned. All right, everybody, welcome in my man from the UK, Mr. Jerry Jariwalla. Man, it's been so cool to connect with you, and I finally get you on the show. We're going to talk about some of the super cool things you're doing, and welcome in, my man.
Thank you so much. I am excited. I've been a long time fan of yours, Randy, and I love your community, and it's just a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
I love it, man. And my man, where are you at right now? So you're in the UK, correct? Or are you travel? I know you're every time I talk to you, you're like traveling somewhere. So where are you at right now?
Yeah, I'm right now. Right now, I'm born in the UK, and at this very moment, I'm talking to you from just at the foot of the Great Pyramids in Egypt. So yeah, I do travel about a bit.
That is epically cool, man. It's definitely on the bucket list of one of the places I do want to go to. So, you're on there, you're hanging out, you're traveling a little bit. So thank you for taking time out of your day to do that, or night, or whatever time it is there. So story time. So generally on this show, man, this is a show about entrepreneurship. We have a lot of followers, people that listen that are in the trades, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs. And so we like to share the journey of entrepreneurship, my man. So you've definitely been there, done that. So I want to hear your story about how you kind of grew up and how you kind of got into entrepreneurship.
Dude, oh man, do I have a love for the trades? That was my very, very first business. We're knocking on like 24, 25 years ago now. But back in the day, my dad was a locksmith, and he spent all of his pennies and pounds back in those collecting and saving, like most parents do, to get us educated. And I went and got a degree, and but what he didn't really know was that I was doing a dissertation on how to essentially grow a locksmith company from a one-man band into a nationwide company. And unfortunately, I didn't get the opportunity to execute that because I ended up getting a job at Ernst and Young. And I don't know, maybe it was subliminal messaging or whatever it might be, but I took the first chance that I could to actually just quit and walk out the door from Ernst and Young, which is basically if anyone knows, like the big five accounting firms, I was a consultant working in the as a consultant in one of these big corporates, and I absolutely hated it. So as soon as I got the opportunity to quit, I was out of there. And yeah, basically the next thing you know, like next day comes along, and I walk downstairs to my dad's office because he was working from the garage. Uh, um, and like most tradesmen, he had his tools, he had him, and he had his van, and my whole ambition was to just go and change that, even a little bit. Well, he was really upset. As an immigrant who basically spent all of his savings on our education, he hated the fact that his son was going to be a tradesman. What he didn't really know, though, was basically we were going to end up in the next 5 years to be one of the biggest locksmith companies in the country. So we had vans from all the way from Scotland down south, all the way to the tip of Portugal. We had over 100 vehicles, 100 members of staff, warehouses, and we were just figuring out as it goes, Randy. Like there was no real plan. We were just a family business, just kind of making 1 + 1 = 3.
I love that. I mean, that's the it's easy to say the American dream, but that's the world dream. That's like the dream for any entrepreneur to be able to, take whatever business, whatever widget they're selling and turn it into something truly special that can cross, multiple nations and multiple counties or whatever your situation is. So leaning into that a little bit, what were some of the key things that allowed you to succeed? I mean, you probably a lot of trial and error, but if you were to give me maybe 1 to 3 things that like, I checked this box, I made this pivotal moment happen, this thing happened, and that unlocked a certain level of growth that we had.
That's a great question. And I love this question because unfortunately for everybody in this world, we can't reverse time. So it's very difficult to recreate this. But for me, it was the transition. I was basically in the right time at the right place. I was taking the helm of the business because I had to prove myself to my dad that not only, did I have, more so, he wanted to know that I had it in my hands. He wanted to know that I could actually be a tradesman. So I had to prove myself and learn how to pick locks. I had to learn how to do the trade and then earn the respect of the boss, who was my dad.
Yep.
There was no way he was just going to hand over the keys, especially after, he was so upset that I had walked out on corporate life. So once I'd done that, it was a case of then earning his trust with the money. And what I wanted to do with the money was spend it on advertising.
Mm.
Because at the end of the day, to be completely honest, I'm pretty lazy as a person. I don't want to be on the tools. I wouldn't say I was naturally a tradesman. I was naturally an entrepreneur, and I wanted to make, things grow, and I wanted to make things efficient and provide, most of all, a fantastic service. And I saw holes all over the locksmith industry in the UK at the time. So, what better way to take advantage of those holes than to advertise our service, because we were willing to work the hardest, work the smartest, and provide the best information as well as the best service. Because in our industry, you also needed to educate the client because the client doesn't know anything about security. And actually, that led me into the transition from yellow pages, so advertising in the yellow pages, to
Mhm.
the first mover advantage to Google Ads. So my first Google ad was around about 2001, 2002, round about that. And we're now in 2025. So, you can say I've had over 20 years of experience with Google Ads. And that was basically probably the biggest shift and pivotal moment in our career, because suddenly we went from being, you know, who is this guy in the yellow pages, to being first, and what I at the time called lazy secretary syndrome, because the secretary was too lazy to go over and pull the yellow pages off the shelf to find the locksmith. And instead, she opened this thing called Google, type in locksmith near me, and suddenly our company came first. And lazy secretary syndrome ended up being essentially the not so secrets to our success.
I love that. And I mean, you can apply that in so many ways, but the key, you said something key there, first mover advantage. And we're going to get there, but I don't want to get there too fast, but we're in another one of those situations in life, right? I mean, I graduated in college in 2001, right? So, and I went to school got a business degree and with an emphasis in marketing. But everything I learned by the time I graduated changed within a couple of years. This is the same time that the social medias and the Google ads and all the things started happening. And I learned all the traditional marketing stuff, not the new modern marketing stuff. But I think the key is you got to understand and pay attention to what's going on in your market and look for opportunities and also be willing to take the risk. I think that is something we can lean into is you got to be willing to kind of try something new. And I think a lot of people, maybe like the old school mindset of entrepreneurs is one, maybe we don't like change, or maybe you listen to this and you struggle with that. You're scared of change, or you don't embrace it, or you're like really hesitant to change, or you're really hesitant to take risks. Maybe you've been doing your business. I've been doing it this way for this long, and this is how we do it because this way we do it. And the reality of it is, this day and age, things are moving exponentially fast. Even when you were the ones pioneering in your market, Google, looking at and running Google ads, now it's happening at a much faster rate. So I think those of us that are willing and able to embrace change, willing and able to take some risk, willing and able to kind of invest in ourselves and invest in some new technology, are the ones that are going to continue to win and thrive in an ever changing and ever competitive environment.
Yeah, I can't echo that enough, Randy. I mean, you know, I talk about first mover advantage, but also like just to be more specific, because I think this can apply to a lot of trades and a lot of tradesmen. Um, a lot of tradesmen in the UK, especially, I don't know about the USA, but were taught father to son, father to son, father to son, and it took someone in the family to break the chain. And what I mean by that is another example of a pivotal moment for us was computerizing our stock systems, right? And
Mm,
as a tradesman, that's very difficult. I mean, even in your trades, Randy, I mean, are you going to count every nail, every screw? Are you going to have a check on your tools, what tools you're putting in and out of the bag every day, at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day? And what I was told when I was starting 20 years ago, oh, we can't do that. Oh, it's too, all of our bits are too small, or, what are you going to do? Count every key? Or what are you going to do? Count every lock in your vehicle? Or what are you going to do? Like almost with sarcasm. And my answer was, yes, actually, I am you know and if I don't, then I'm going to get stolen from, or I'm going to misplace something, or I'm going to blame the apprentice, which of course isn't fair, or I'm going to look for an excuse. And what it comes down to is taking accountability. So, what I mean by breaking the chain is that if you are in a situation where you are being taught by an elder or somebody that you respect, sometimes the fear is in within us to say, oh, I'm going to be the person to break that chain. I'm going to be the person to take the leap of faith. I'm going to be the person that no longer does it like we've always done. You gotta be the person that is gonna count every screw, every nail, every whatever it might be in your trades, whether it's a piece of sandpaper or whether it's counting every single tool in the bag. You gotta do it. And when you create systems and processes, that's what gives you the ability to say, oh, I did it for one van. Now I'm going to do it for two vans or two locations or five locations and 50 locations. And before you know it, you're talking about doing stock counts and shutting down for 3 days because it's so important to take stock and use systems and processes, because you can now relate that to your marketing, you can relate that to your cash flow, you can relate that to your warehousing, you can relate that to essentially the future of your business.
yep. And it's another example of, one, and it's interesting because I actually made that one of our part of our mission statement is to challenge the status quo. It's kind of directly from the Apple concept, right? And it's funny because I'm not even an Apple guy. Like I'm diehard Android, right? We're not going to go there, but like I'm the last holdout. But the idea is, yes, challenge the status quo. Look at the way other people are doing things and be an entrepreneur and ask yourself the question, what if? What if I could do something a different way? Is there another way to do this? Is there another way to make the salt shaker, right? Is there another way to change this widget? And I think you can do that on all different levels, but within your business, and if you're taking over a business or you're trying to, work your way up in a business, or you're not even an entrepreneur yet, you can always find ways to challenge the status quo and do things differently, because those are the companies that not just survive, but those are the companies that thrive. And I mean, we'll put a period on that part of your journey, because there's a lot more to go to. How many, by the time you left that company, how many trucks did you guys have?
We had 100 trucks.
My goodness.
Like, yeah, it was a hard slog, and honestly, I was not working from a manual. No one was teaching me. And my third point, actually, so we've talked about marketing, we've talked about systems and processes. My third point that I want to share with you before we move on is that I screwed up. I screwed
Mm.
up so bad that it caused me to have a stroke at the age of 29 years old. I had
Wow.
100 trucks on the road, and I thought I was doing everything right. I was basically just fumbling my way and thinking that I was God's gift to locksmithing. But actually, I wasn't. And, in fact, it took a huge health scare. And, it was maybe God saving my life, really, the way I look at it now. And I'm not going to get all religious on you, but basically, it was a knock on my door to say, hey, you're going too fast and you need some help and slow down. And the way I received that was I had no guide, I had no mentor, I had no coach. And today we are so lucky in this environment that we can learn off people online. We can join online communities. We can join, specialist trades communities where we can learn from people that have done it and got the t-shirt and basically are exactly where you want to be. And if I could roll back time, Randy, I would say to Jerry back in 2001, find the guy that is is where you want to be. And
Mm.
if you can't find that guy, look to another adjacent industry and find someone in that industry. Because just because I didn't have someone in locksmithing that I could go and call a mentor or a coach, I could have gone to the plumbing industry. Because at the
Yep.
end of the day, the trade might be the same, but the systems and the processes and the way that we do the business, so to speak, is roughly similar. And the way that I buy in plumbing is it should be the same that I buy in locksmithing, that I buy in roofing. The way that I can go and find this information is by finding a guide, finding a coach, finding a mentor. And if I had the ability to reverse time, Randy, and I'm not going to go too much into it, but I would definitely go back and find somebody and pay the money, because that would have caused me so much less heartache, so many less sleepless nights, so many kind of shortcuts that I could have found out by just attending a weekend full of tradesmen who were
Yep.
like 5 or 10 million dollars ahead of where I was at the time. And, you know, like I said, there's a little hint in what I say, and I'll be very, very specific. Just because no one has broken the mold in your industry doesn't mean that hasn't been done. So, what I had to do is look at other industries and find little clues and see what can I, if they can do it in that industry, well, why can't I? And that's how I ended up kind of figuring it out. But it did come at a cost, and a cost that nearly took my life.
Yeah, man. I know that's impacted you a lot. I'm going to press into that a little bit. And as we transition, I think the takeaway there is, well, first off, that's a perfect segue for if for some reason you're just tuning into the show, if for some reason you just clicked and something caught your interest and you're listening to the show, you're watching the show. We have a YouTube channel. You can search out Start Build Grow Show, but it's all we funnel it through the Roofing Academy on YouTube, and then all the podcasting platforms. Just look up the Start Build Grow Show. If you are interested in that, click the like, click the subscribe button. But we've done over 350 episodes. So this is a free resource for you to find a topic, find somebody that is an expert at whatever it is that you want to learn, all different types of backgrounds, all different types of stories. You've come to a great place. So welcome. and hopefully you subscribe and leave us a comment below. So thanks for that setup. By the way, and finding mentors. And I think that's something, that I'm so grateful that early on in my career, when I started, I decided, while I was in school, I was like, I loved construction, and I wanted to be a contractor. I wanted to learn how to build houses, and I wanted to figure out the business side as quickly as possible. So I found some mentors. I went and worked as an intern for a construction company, and I've been surrounding myself and trying to have mentors and network and connect with others in my industry and outside of my industry for my entire career. And I happen to be somebody now that happens to have a show, and I travel and I share what I know. I have a coaching platform, but at the end of the day, that's just me giving it back and paying it forward, because I've just been so blessed by so many amazing people who have poured into me over my entire career, that, I do this because I just want to give back and help that little, that little Jerry, that Randy from back in the day that needed that guidance, right? That could have used that guidance. So I think it's an incredible, valuable resource. So if you don't have the money, soak up what you can, read the book, Start It, Build It, Grow It, The Contractor's Guide to Success. You can see it right up here in the corner. It's a great book. You can get on Amazon. And if not, if you have the money, if you don't have the money, you can scrape it together, like invest, find a program, find someone that you really connect with, that you want to learn from. It will accelerate your growth. And to this day, I surround myself, and I spend a lot of money on mentors and groups. And that's kind of how you and I got connected. I don't want to go too far into it, but EO, Entrepreneurs Organization, it's a nation or a worldwide organization. And how did I meet Jerry? Through the Entrepreneur Organization, through networking, through connecting, through other people who are like-minded throughout the entire world. And it's incredible when you start to experience things from a different perspective in different countries even. Okay, so let's pick up the story. You finished the locksmithing journey. What happened next?
Well, because I had the stroke, I had to pivot. I unfortunately lost the usage of my main primary arm, which is my right arm. And I couldn't speak at the time, so essentially it was very difficult to communicate, very difficult to run, a multi-million-dollar business at that time. And like I said, I hadn't done things the right way, so I was figuring it out. I didn't have an operations director. I didn't have a marketing manager. I didn't have the teams that I needed, and that I should have surrounded myself with, in order so that I wasn't the key person of influence in my own business. And I am a big proponent of being a key person of influence. And by the way, that's a great book by Daniel Priestley. If you haven't read it, you should go and read it. But he talks about being a key person of influence outside your business. And I always say you should always have an aim to be the key person of influence outside your business, and not be the key person of influence inside your business. So working on your business when you get to that stage. But just, once again, going back to what you said, Randy, I don't mean to hammer the point in, but usually it only takes one thing in any business to be able to scrape the money together to go and invest in a coaching program or a mentor, or going and paying for an hour's time worth of someone's time that's there and been there and got the t-shirt. So if you're sitting there thinking, oh, I need all this money to join this program, you probably don't. You probably need one nugget from a YouTube video like this that you can go and implement, and then make the money that you need to go and then invest in a coaching program. What I see many young entrepreneurs do, and when I say young, not necessarily young by age, but young by experience, what they do is they take that one nugget that they found from a YouTube video, go and make that money, and then go and splash it on a Mercedes AMG, or they go and, buy their kids a PlayStation 7 or whatever the new fads are, right? And what you should really be doing is investing in that book that you always wanted to buy, or that coaching program that you always wanted to invest in, or go and buy an hour of somebody's time that you know is where you want to be. So once again, just to add that to your viewers, Randy, I hope that's not overstepping, but basically it's just one little golden nugget that all of us need just to get to that next step, because it's just about going to the next step.
Yeah, no, and I love that. And I think, something that I just kind of thought about in my head too is like in doing this, and it's like as you're talking about that, I'm like, we don't I mean, we're a fairly trade specific. I mean, there's some huge podcasts out there. I mean, we have some amazing loyal listeners and we get new ones pretty regularly, which is great. But at the end of the day, one person is all it takes. One person that just happens to be like, oh, I'm gonna hear about how AI is changing my business, and I want to hear about this. Okay, cool. That actually sits and listens to this, and they're like, wow, they get this 2, 3 nuggets or one nugget that just changes the course of their trajectory and changes the course of their life. Makes every minute of doing this worth it. I'm doing it for 5, 6 years now, and it makes it all worth it because there's one person out there that's listening to this that their life gets to be changed because of this conversation that I get to have with my boy Jerry. It's so cool.
Yeah,
Um, okay,
absolutely.
so
So just to answer your question, what happened next
yeah,
was essentially we had to pivot. There was no way I could run that business. But by that time, I'd had heart surgery. I'd managed to recover. It took me a year of recovery. And unfortunately, as I said, I didn't have the support team to keep the business going. So, revenues did drop. I did drop the ball. I had to, give some of the vehicles that were on lease back. I had to retrench essentially. And I unfortunately watched all that growth kind of disappear in front of my eyes. Um, but what that did allow me to do, that sitting in silence, literally, and when you lose the ability to speak, there's a lot of introspection that happens, as you can imagine. Um, and the introspection that I had was, how do I go and make the same kind of revenues with 10 times less people and 10 times less things to account, 10 times less things to do in my business, but still make a huge impact. So we started a business called Avantgarde Doors, and Avantgarde Doors was another trades related business where we sold bulletproof doors that looked like pieces of art to the 1%. And we'll get to that in maybe another show or another episode. But essentially, this was answering the who question. Who is
mm,
it that is going to buy my product that is 100 times the price of every other product in the market? I went and created a $10,000 or $20,000 product that was a door. And who was it that would buy a 10 to 20,000 pound door, or 10 to 20,000 dollar door? And then reversed engineered exactly what this door would look like, and then understand what that person who would buy it, what would they want in that door, what was actually the function of that door. And essentially it how I translated it, as I wasn't selling a door, I was selling peace of mind.
mm,
And when you take the widget out and you understand the psychology of actually what you're doing, then suddenly, light bulbs go off. And even in the roofing industry, right? If you're a roofer, which, I know, Randy, you have a lot of roofer followers, but if you suddenly, twist your perspective and think about what you do for your client, not just building a roof, but providing an actual, you know, place of peace for that family that lives inside that. What is that worth? What is the feeling worth, that once they've had a storm or something like that, and the the fear and the upset families and the children involved and all of that kind of emotion that comes from a leaking roof, you know, then you start to understand that you really, really do play a pivotal role in society. You're not just a tradesman. You are actually providing a sense of peace to the families that you
Yeah.
serve. And once I started doing that, we actually started selling doors left, right, and center. And we went from basically selling, you know, one door every month to one door every week, then one door every day. And you could do the math. You know, we were a seven-figure business very, very quickly into the second business that I started.
Very cool, man. And I think, from what I know of you, like your mind has always been on like how do I duplicate and how do I multiply things, and there's a big marketing and kind of asset there. And so let's fast forward a little bit. It's so cool.
Sure.
I'm super intrigued. It's like, oh, I'd love to learn all more about the door business and maybe go to some different. But once again, it's like challenge the status quo, do something different, find a niche, find a way to kind of go into a market and fill a gap that might be there, right? So now let's lead into technology. And how'd you get into technology and then ultimately into what you're doing now with AI?
Yeah, great question. When due to some personal reasons, I had to basically pivot again, and now I'm basically running my fourth seven-figure business. Um, and it's a marketing agency, or it started back in 2019 as a marketing agency that was essentially serving small business owners because I needed to travel. I needed to be able to be mobile. And as you can see, I love traveling. I'm in Egypt right now, and but but for personal reasons for my children, I needed to be able to travel frequently. That meant I couldn't really run a trades business or a location dependent business. I had to use my skills so that I could be remote. So that led me to essentially starting an agency, which meant that I was basically drawing up on all my skills and bringing them into my agency so that I could use them to help other business owners. So every time I thought about that, and once again, productizing is really, really important, even in the service industry. We started to think about every piece of technology that we used, every single piece of marketing that we used, all the lessons and trials and tribulations that we'd been through, and essentially create an almost like packaged like service so that we could actually serve other small business owners so that they didn't have to make the same mistakes that I did. So when it comes to technology, I've always been, someone that is always geeking about looking at technology, always reading and figuring out like what is going to be the next thing. And a lot of times I've been wrong, which is once again what you said previously. Take a faith leap. You're not always going to be right, but sometimes you will. And when you are right, then that right pays off. And for me, now what we're doing is we're running an agency which essentially combines marketing and artificial intelligence together, because essentially what I figured out back in the day was you could work hard, you could be the hardest worker in the world, but still there was going to be a smart ass who would overtake you and then eat your lunch. And I don't know about you, Randy, but I'm competitive as they come, and I don't like having my lunch stolen from me. I was a bully. I was bullied as a kid, and nowadays I'm making sure that I keep my own lunch to myself.
Yep,
So
I get
when
it.
you start when you start thinking, how am I going to keep my lunch to myself? Then you want to be acting smart. You want to be working smarter, not necessarily harder. Like I said, inherently, I think of myself as a little bit lazy, even though my wife would tell you the opposite. I've been known to do 16-hour days at some point, but regardless, it's all about working smart. So today I am a massive, massive, huge proponent of using artificial intelligence. And if you are thinking, oh, he uses ChatGPT, well, have I got news for you? Right, absolutely. Yes, you should be using ChatGPT, but that is not what I'm talking about, Randy.
I love it. That's a fantastic segue because what are you talking about? We've all heard about. I mean, I learned. I don't even remember when I heard this Chat GPT thing. I was in like I think I was in our EO retreat. I'm like, what the heck is this? And we're just sitting there like playing, asking it questions. I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. And as I've gotten to know you a little bit more, and we're kind of testing a few different things in our own organization, it's like, holy crap, that's just kind of the surface, right? So, what's next? Like, where do you see? What's changing, what's in the trades industry, where do you see like a handful of things that AI is going to be able to solve and be leveraged to increase sales, increase productivity, increase customer experience, decrease overhead? Like, what are some things you're seeing and working on currently?
Thanks for asking that question. And before we get into that, if you don't mind, I want to address the elephant in the room, okay? Because what's happening and what I am surrounded by are people saying, "Oh, artificial intelligence, is it going to take my job?" I don't know about you, but have you heard that? Like maybe you're
Yeah.
not going to see artificial intelligence get on a roof and replace a roof, so you're safe there. But, is it going to take over your admin? Is it going to be doing your accounts? Is it going to be doing all these things that, Sally in the office is doing? And the answer, Randy, from my point of view, is no. you know we had the same thing when the internet came around. Is internet going to take our jobs? Well, no. What AI is going to do is it's going to put a cape on Sally in the office. It turns Sally in the office into Superwoman. And that's what essentially I called lazy secretary syndrome back in the day, right? Where essentially the lazy secretary was not able to get up and look in the yellow pages to find the local locksmith. She went onto this thing called Google, and suddenly she had the answers at our fingertips. Well, guess what? Deja vu, right? So, artificial intelligence is not here to take anybody's job. Yes, I do believe it will force us to upskill ourselves, and not only upskill ourselves as individual jobs, but as individual business owners. We now have to compete with artificial intelligence. And let me just explain what I mean. Why I said that ChatGPT, although is important, is not what I'm talking about, is because last week, Randy, we basically removed 5 people from the marketing department. So on one hand, I'm saying, is AI going to replace your jobs? Or it's not. And when I say we replaced 5 people in the marketing department, we didn't let them go. We just basically gave them skills so that they could do more faster and that they didn't have to do the mundane jobs. So imagine, and before I go into the solution and just kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about, I want to place a stake in the ground. And for those of you that might be watching this, and are figuring out, how do I make my business grow? How do I grow my business? And you think it's all about saving money and creating efficiency and making sure that you're on a job on time and you finish on time and you got your accounting done and your is in check. All of that is really important, but more so the biggest pivot that happened in my life was investing in marketing. If you want your business to grow, you got to have more eyeballs on your brand, on your company. People need to know, like, and trust you. The more people that know, like, and trust you, the more people that are actually going to go and essentially embrace what you have to offer and create essentially a relationship with your brand. So now that we've got that stake in the ground, the old way, and I say this, almost with tongue in cheek, because the old way was like last week. So the old way was to have social media posting every single day, to go and compete on SEO and monitor your competitors' keywords and figure out what people are searching for. Roofer near me, electrician near me, plumber near me, and then figure out how you're going to rank for those organic kind of rankings. And what essentially all of that, if you translate it into really, really simple speak, what does that mean? It means, how do I get Joe Blogs to find me easier when he wants me or she wants me, right? And essentially, that comes down to back down to sticking the stake in the ground and saying, how do I become more visible to the person that needs my services? And what we did is essentially create a swarm of AI agents at Randy. And I'm going to basically put the misery out of your mind and answer the question that I'm sure that everyone's thinking: what the hell is a swarm of AI agents? Well, you may have heard of one AI agent, or imagine if you had a team of autonomous AI agents all working at the same time. How much more work would you get done? And let me ask you this, Randy. If you wanted elite roofing, I know that you rank really high in your local area in terms of search engine optimization and all the keywords that you've already invested in from the years of doing, building a fantastic business. But imagine if I could tell you that we could have one AI agent constantly monitoring your competitors' keywords and constantly monitoring what articles each of your competitors are writing, what social media posts they're publishing, what videos they're sharing on YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and all the other social media profiles, and then passing that information, processing it, and giving it to another AI agent. That AI agent's job is actually to simplify that information and essentially create what I call a conducive growth plan. Because at the end of the day, all of these agents are working to grow the business, and they're all working to make the graph look like that. So how do they do that? They are essentially all working together to make things happen. So that second agent then takes that information and then gives it to a bunch of writing agents. Now we're talking about the third agent. That writing agent will go and then synthesize the information that it's taken from the competitors, from the keywords, from the videos that are being published, take all that information and then go and write all the different pieces of content needed to compete against your competitors. But not only compete, but beat, right? There's no point competing. We've got to beat. Remember, no one's going to eat my lunch. So how am I going to make that happen, right? I'm going to make sure that if they're writing 1 to 3 articles a day, I want to be writing 3 to 5 articles a day. How am I going to make that happen? Well, my AI writing team is a separate unit of agents that specialize in each of their platforms. So I have a LinkedIn agent, I have a Facebook agent, I have an Instagram agent, I have a article writing agent for my blog posts as well. Now you're probably thinking, well, how is an agent going to make a video? Well, once we take that information, we take the article, we turn it into a video script, we send that video script to another piece of AI, and that AI sends it to an avatar of me. And an avatar of me is basically a clone of me, but an AI clone of me uses my voice and then creates a video of me speaking the video script, which then gets posted on Instagram. Because I know what you are thinking. Well, how's an AI gonna, post a video on Instagram? Well, this is how it happens. And essentially, what we're doing is we're now beating the algorithm. Any kind of signals that are coming from online, we are listening to those signals, synthesizing the information, and then creating the new type of content that is going to not only create but beat our competitors and essentially send a blaze trail where we've come from. And then finally, the final AI agents are a set of distribution agents which will publish all that information onto the internet multiple times a day. So imagine if you're currently producing maybe one article a week, maybe two posts a day, or imagine timesing that by 10 and what would happen to the visibility of your company. So on one hand, if you have put the stake in the ground to say, I want to be visible, and you've committed a team of people, maybe producing content or writing content or SEO or ads or whatever it might be, this AI swarm essentially goes and 10x's the productivity of that existing marketing department and blows any kind of signals out of the water.
I don't know about you. If you're listening, there might be somebody like literally pulling over right now or like stopping in their tracks. Like, what did I just listen to? Like, what did I just hear? And I'm on the same notion. Every time we get to you and I get the chance to speak and hang out, I'm just like blown away. You know, it's like you have this concept of what the small, you know, you know, what the media shares, what you kind of see from ChatGPT and these things like AI is making some major things happen. And it's funny because I did a previous show a couple weeks ago. It came out and I declared it and I'm declaring it again. 2025. This is the year of AI, not just in roofing, in all the trades. These sort of things are happening so fast and it's coming. If you're not involved now, if you're not testing things, beta testing, like connecting with people, learning about it and trying to find ways to use AI to help improve your processes, you're gonna be you're gonna be the next Yellow Pages and the next Blockbuster, and it's crazy how fast it's happening. I'm fascinated by it, and I could probably sit here and talk all day long with you, but we got to at least land the plane at some point here. But let's talk about a couple ideas and a couple of the things that you might be working on. And for somebody
Yeah.
that's listening, and I have a lot of roofing contractors, maybe somebody that's listening, and they just want to dip their toes in. They're like, you know what? I love this, but I'm not ready for 10 AI bots doing all the things for my business, right? That may be overwhelming to somebody. But what's like maybe one thing, and you know what I'm getting to because we're playing with a little bit, but what's one or maybe two ideas that we can take right now, and maybe we can actually talk to you about helping us kind of implement into our business.
Well, the easiest way is the money that's existingly stuck in your business. And what I mean by that is most people running a trades business have a CRM. And if you don't have a CRM, which stands for a customer relationship management tool, then you should definitely invest in a CRM. Most tradesmen who are listening to this show probably already have a CRM of some sort, whether
Yeah.
it be an Excel spreadsheet or whether it be, a piece of software that you've bought from a vendor.
Well, let me cut you off there for a second because you didn't even know what you've done, but you keep segueing perfectly for me because this show has been presented and sponsored by JobNimbus, the industry-leading CRM for not only roofing but the trades industry, and it's an open API, and you can plug this stuff, and he's already learning about it. So, for those of you listening, if you've been a long-term listener, there's probably a good chance you've heard about or you're already using JobNimbus. So, I want to give a shout out to my family, to my friends, and the amazing people at JobNimbus who are pushing limits and making sure that we run our businesses smooth and that we have the ability to do the things that we're about to share.
Awesome. So if you've got a CRM, then the chances are you're sitting on a gold mine of information. Now, the old way of mining that gold would be to pick up your phone and go from zero, literally zero in the contact database, and reactivate or re-up the information from that database. And what I mean by that is literally calling Joe Smith and saying, hey, Joe, it's been a while since we've spoken. Or, we've got this new special offer on, or we're in your area, or whatever the message might be, and re-up that conversation so that that your business is top of mind. And you have every business that has a database has the ability to do that, because the chances are you've already had permission to contact that person. So I'm not talking about cold texting here. I'm talking about essentially re-upping and reactivating the data in your existing database and contacting even not necessarily the old jobs, but anyone that's actually asked you for a quotation, asked you for an estimate, or request for quotation, or whatever you might be calling it in your trade. Anyone in your database deserves to be picking up the phone and asking that person if they're still interested in XYZ. Except if you don't want to do that, because I know the majority of you people are very, very busy on the tours, making the business go around, and essentially working on the business to grow your business. So you don't necessarily have the time or the resources to call up the 10,000 people in your database, because I can hear the echoes in my voice, in the background saying, I ain't got time for that. Or, when am I going to do that? While I'm on a ladder or on a roof or whatever it might be. You might be in a basement, whatever your trade is. But the good news is that what we are doing in our business is essentially using AI to have conversations with every single one of those people. And this is something that we've been testing with Randy's company, and it works. It's worked in solar, it's worked in roofing, it's working in HVAC, and a bunch of different trades. And what we're doing is essentially using a combination of, think of it as if your text message had the ability to have ChatGPT bolted onto it and they had a baby, and that's exactly what we're doing. So essentially, we're using the power of AI and text messaging to have those conversations in exactly a way that you would have a conversation if you were controlling the text messaging. So that's exactly what we're doing, Randy.
I would challenge that to say that it's not just the same way. It's actually better than what we could be saying. And imagine a situation. I mean, a lot of people come and go in the industry, and I've been in this industry 20 years and I'm still learning things. But imagine being able to answer almost every question, every technical question, and being able to like instantly have the right answer and the right knowledge base as if it were you. It's an incredible thing. You should see some of the transcripts that we have that Jerry, he emails me transcript like, holy crap, that's like a real conversation with an AI bot. It's incredible. So that's a great way to start. And here's the thing. I think I heard something the other day. I think someone 80+% of sales reps in the trades business don't follow up. At least more than once, right? They don't follow up. Imagine you're a business owner. Imagine what is left on the table of just not following up with people that have inquired about your business. Imagine if you took 50, 100, 1,000 names of contacts that have contacted you that you know, and you were able to actually reach back out to them, have a very professional, honest, open conversation. I mean, imagine even if a couple people were to say, "Oh yeah, John didn't follow up. Oh, he's not with the company anymore." In our industry, a lot of people turn over. A lot of people turn over. Imagine, you were able to capture just a small percentage of that. Would it be worth it to you? Hey, let's do that. That's what interests me, right? We talked about this, Mike. Holy crap, cool. Anyways, we got to wrap this thing up, my man. How do I get a hold of you? What do I got to do to, we're going to put a link in below, whatever you're at, or you can reach out to myself or Jerry. But what's the best way to reach out to you, Jerry, if we want to have a conversation or maybe even test what we're working on?
Absolutely. You can pretty much find me on all platforms like that, down at where it says right here at Jerry Jariwalla, on Instagram or on X or on Twitter or on Facebook. Pretty much anywhere you go, you can find me. Reach out, or the best thing to do is click the link below underneath this video. Randy, I just want to shout out and tell everybody that it's been so great to work with you guys and be involved in your ecosystem. The conversations with your old customers really, really inspire me, because yes, The AI is doing a fantastic job, but your team has paved the way of an exemplary example of good customer service. So thank you so much for having us and working with us on that.
Oh, likewise, man. It's fun. We're just getting started. All right, so we're gonna wrap this thing up, my man. In traditional fashion, I like to take my guests and kind of throw them. I'm gonna throw you under the bus a little bit, but you're an entrepreneur. You're an experienced, individual, and you have a great, you check all the boxes of, all the integrity and the right reasons to do business. Give me your golden nugget, man. What's your best piece of advice to an entrepreneur out there that wants to level up and go to the next level?
Um, does it have to be something new that I haven't already spoken about?
No, no, man. Reiterate if you want. It's been a whole show of
Okay.
golden nuggets.
Well, I would say constantly be learning. For me, that no matter if it's learning to be a better tradesman, learning something that you haven't done before, and doing the thing that you don't like to do. So a lot of people are very, very easily capable of doing the thing that they're most strongest at. I would challenge each and every person watching this show to pick up something tomorrow or even today that they are actually not very good at or they push to the side. For a lot of people, it might be accounts. For a lot of people, it might be technology. And even if it is the very, very basic thing of signing up $20 a month on ChatGPT, and that's all you've got to do to start the AI journey, then go and do that. Don't necessarily stick to the free stuff. Pay out of your pocket, because even if you pay $20, your chances are the psychology of paying means that you'll go and use it a little bit better. So yeah, get started on something that you've been avoiding, and I'm sure it will pay dividends in the future.
I love that, man. And what better way to end this thing with that? And it's, like the same tagline I have, and learn and grow every single day. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Jerry, thank you for your time. Enjoy your time in Egypt, my man. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, let the algorithms help us get more exposure, share it to a friend, help us out. We appreciate it. Take care, everybody, and God bless.